Hi, everybody. Welcome to part of the Victor Mukasa show. And here we are again with updates from Kakuma Camp, Block 13, regarding LGBTQ refugees in the camp that are under attack, that have been brutalized by fellow refugees, for whom we are continuing to ask the UNHCR to take out of the camp to safety. We have about 137 now refugees there who have been brutally attacked by fellow refugees, and very violently. We have people who are on the verge of losing lives. We have people with cracked skulls, broken limbs. We have children amongst them, very traumatized from what they have seen happening to their parents. And we continue to ask the UNHCR to take them out of that camp, which is not ready and prepared for LGBT refugees. Please invite your friends as you listen to this song by Brian Nkoyoyo, stage name Brio Bryans, and the name is There Is Hope. And yes, all of you guys in Kakuma Camp, all LGBT refugees who are under attack, and all LGBT refugees in Nairobi and other urban areas, all LGBT refugees across the world in these camps, there is hope. Please invite your friends for this update.
Little do they know we are a family, and nothing can stop us right now. Yeah. My dear brothers and sisters, discrimination should stop. Let's come together and fight this insanity, cause in the end,
LGBT refugees across the world in Kakuma Camp, Block 13, LGBT refugees in the urban areas of Kenya, and all LGBTQ refugees in detention places in refugee camps across the world. There is hope. We are not yet heard. Our voice is still low, but it will be heard. There is hope that human rights organizations will listen to your voice instead of those who stand up to speak for you without understanding your situation. There is hope that sanity will be restored. There is hope that the human rights of LGBT refugees across the world shall be heard. There is hope that the case of LGBT refugees in the world should be taken as a special case when it comes to refugee camps, because there is homophobia and transphobia in refugee camps. It is a fact. There is hope that the UNHCR will listen. Please invite your friends.
there is hope. Don't despair, because there is hope. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. This phobia they have towards us. If we
Come together,
and fight for
our rights
we
shall overcome. There is hope. Brian Nkoyoyo, thank you so much for this song.
I never gonna stop. I let nobody pull me with a rope. If you're trying to put me down, oh, I say no. I believe in myself, I don't let myself down. Let me be me, that's who I am. I stand strong, the gun is too long. I keep moving, cause I got hope. There is hope, there is hope.
Don't despair, because there is hope. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. And if we come together, We shall overcome. 'Cause there is hope. There is hope. Mugume banage. Mugume, 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 mugume nyo. Mugume, mugume. We're starting in about 1 minute. Please invite all those. If you can invite the UNHCR, that's cool. Invite them. There is hope. There is hope.
There is hope.
There is hope. Don't despair, because there is hope. We shall overcome. Yeah.
This phobia they have towards us.
If we come together and
Fight for our rights. We shall overcome. LGBT people out there, we are facing homophobia across the world. But there is a group that we should take in a very special way right now amongst us. Like we have done with trans people at some point, like we have done with lesbians at some point, like we have done with gay men at some point, like we have done with lesbian mothers at some point, like we've done with lesbians in townships at some point. We need to take the issue of LGBTQ refugees across the world, and in particular right now in Kakuma camp on block 13, as our own issue. They have not been listened to by many of us. Their voice is lost amongst those that call themselves experts of LGBT issues. It is time for us to take on this. It is time to take the voice of LGBT refugees to hear what they are saying. It's time to hear what they're saying. It is time to listen to both sides of the story. A lot of you have listened to one side from a very small group of people. You've listened and believed the voice of those saying that these LGBT people are hurting themselves. At the moment, I think that the UNHCR, such a huge organization, is believing that these LGBT people are hurting themselves, that they are cracking their skulls, that they are breaking their limbs in the name of resettlement. It is time for us to come up with this, what we call outrage against what is happening in Kakuma camp on block 13. They are human beings there. They are human beings there. They are children, the youngest being 2 months old, that need our voice. At least they need our ear. They need us to say, they need to hear us say, we have heard you and we are following up on your case. Like Timothy Hobbs Kaiwa says, LGBTQ refugee lives matter. Happy Pride to all those that celebrated Pride this year. It's not been a happy Pride month for some people. For those of you who haven't been following, LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma camp, in particular on block 13 of that camp, have been and are still undergoing violent, brutal attacks from other refugees in the camp, from natives of Turkana land in northwestern Kenya, from even the police. They have faced what we call a lack of action to be protected from those responsible to protect them, from those mandated to protect them. I am not ashamed to say these things because I'm following the story very closely, and if there was protection offered to LGBTQ lives in Kakuma camp on block 13, by now knowing the brutality and of attacks that have happened to them, they would not be in that camp. No matter what we have had, the fact that blood is flowing, the fact that skulls are cracked, the fact that kids are traumatized, the trans women have been beaten up, lesbians have been raped, gay men have been raped, the fact that we have pus oozing out of people's anal areas, the fact that we have reproductive systems damaged because of rape, the fact that we have skulls oozing pus out of them, the fact that people are crying, blood is flowing out of people, is enough. It is enough reason to protect these people and get them out of Kakuma camp. Now, at the moment, there has not been any action. The only action, as you saw, on the lives of LGBT refugees from Block 13, was a man from the Refugee Consortium of Kenya who came, and I think that it is under the UNHCR, who came asking some questions from the refugees. They had some engagement with the refugees. The first visitor since June 19 this year, when they had the most brutal attack. The first person that came to check on them was, I think, on Friday. We will get the updates from the refugees themselves, from the Refugee Consortium of Kenya. We will get the refugees in Kakuma camp to let us know what happened there before we go forth with our call to action towards the UNHCR. Friends in Kakuma camp, please send your request. Please send your request and let us hear what has been happening.
Discrimination, she is told. Let's come together and fight this.
And just to say, I welcome you, Sharon Cox from Triangle Project in South Africa. And thank you, because that is the one organization in Africa that has sort of stood up for the refugees in Kakuma camp. And we still need that muscle from other organizations, especially LGBT organizations on the continent, international organizations operating on the continent, and all other human rights organizations. We still need that voice. Kakuma camp, please send your request.
In the end, we will win.
There is hope.
There is hope. Don't despair, because there is hope. Kakuma camp, please send your request. In the meantime, we will have Purity from Nairobi, Kenya. Purity Page, send your request too. I'm not getting any requests here. But she'll send your request, please. I don't see your camera on.
But dear comrades, never give up the fight. Never lose faith.
Hey friends, send your request. Purity, send your request. Kakuma camp, send your request. Whoever is able to go through, let us hear that update and let us have a conversation here. But she'll send your request. I don't see it. Gilbert, send your request. I don't see it. I think you're supposed to be on Bashir's phone. Tran Claire, can we have please? I think Gilbert is giving the update today from Kakuma camp. Claire, I saw your request. Gilbert, look for Claire. Look for Tran Claire Blessing. We are adding you. I am adding you. Gilbert, Bashir, Benon, look for Tran Claire is the only request coming in right now, but keep trying.
Listen to me now, cause you know I got hope. See what I do, I ain't never gonna stop. I let nobody pull me with a rope. If you're trying to push me down, oh, I say no. I believe in myself, I don't let myself down. Let me be me, that's who I am. I stand strong, the gun is too long. I keep moving, cause I got hope. There is hope, there is hope. Don't expect it.
Welcome everybody once again. And as we wait for Kakuma, the connection is really bad sometimes. So we are having problems connecting. But in terms of updates, I was saying earlier on that first of all, I thank all of you who continue to write to the UNHCR, urging them to protect our brothers and sisters and children in Kakuma camp. I thank you so much for the pressure you're putting on all those who are giving financially towards medical interventions, food, supplies for kids, and all that. Again, we thank you so much. You're doing a great job. Those of you who don't know, we have a GoFundMe page. You can find it on my page here where you are. And please donate whatever you can, even if it's $5. But really, what we are looking for is protection for the refugees in Kakuma camp. I see you guys. I think that you're connecting. And I would also like, okay, here they are. Good evening, friends. Good evening. Good evening, Block. Good evening, Block 13. Good evening, Gilbert.
Yes, Victor.
Gilbert.
Hello, Victor.
On Block 13 camp. Yes, hi, Gilbert.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Not so great. How are you doing?
Of course, not great. I am also not doing great until you do great. Now, Gilbert, thank you for coming. I know that it's not easy and it's also very late there, but we are seeking an update about what is happening in Kakuma. We are an update about any interventions from the UNHCR, and also seeking some updates about the threats that you could face in Kakuma. It is yours. My platform is for you.
Thank you, Victor. You probably were watching live yesterday when we were addressing the world regarding a statement from UNHCR. The latest update that I want to share with the world is that the metropolitan cities of Nairobi and Mombasa are now, we can have movement in and out of them. That has been a major hindrance according to the statement issued by UNHCR, a statement to which we reacted. They had indicated that there was not much they could do because of the lockdown, but thankfully, we actually thank the Kenyan government for opening both cities. But secondly, during our live show, we got a visitor. This visitor was unexpected, coming from the Refugee Consortium of Kenya. You probably saw him. He is the first visitor to come to our compound.
Since June 19th.
Although we were attacked, we have bled, we have serious injuries here, he is the first visitor to come here. He was actually overwhelmed with the issues that we raised, and probably, actually as I speak, there is an attack going on. Somebody has entered our compound and is trying to cause harm to us. But anyway, to go back to your question, we have not had any dialogue with UNHCR whatsoever. The man that came was not clear as whether he was representing the Refugee Consortium of Kenya or he was delivering a message from UNHCR. He seemed to switch as he spoke regarding our issues. He spoke on behalf of Kenya, spoke on behalf of RCK. It was very confusing to make sense out of what he was saying. But anyway, that's the closest thing that we have had as a response, as a dialogue from UNHCR. Victor, they seem to continue to uphold the thinking that a low profile is an intervention of sorts, is a solution to our problem. Yes, there are people who have fronted that, asking us to keep a low profile. Frankly, Kenya, Kakuma, that does not work. It has not worked before. We have transgenders amongst ourselves. That is what they are complaining about. There is a special hatred for the transgenders. They think by being transgenders, they're provoking people. No, I'm so embarrassed at how little information there seems to be about our kind in this country, in this camp. They don't understand what transgender is. The level of animosity is combined with ignorance. You remember the last time I spoke on your show, I emphasized that there was lack of civic education in this area. So there is ignorance and there is animosity regarding our kind. Now, the low profile has not worked and will not work. You have had some people say, you're making it complicated for other people to come here. The world should thank us. They should come out and say, thank you, the LGBTQ plus persons of Kakuma. We have raised our issues. The world has come to know that this is hell on earth. They have come to know that we are in the belly of a beast. Kakuma is not kind to the LGBTQ plus. If it's not kind to us, was not kind to our predecessors that were evacuated from here in the December of 2018, was not kind to the predecessors of the very group that we have just mentioned of the 2018, it will never be kind. This challenge, actually the onus is on the UNHCR and those that partner with it. There is nothing that has been changed. It is the same community, it is the same people, it is the same attitude, and they keep bringing us here. It didn't work in 2018. You evacuate people in December of 2018, 2019, you bring them back. Does it make sense, really? It's very confusing. That's why, Victor, this comes across as an experiment on our lives. When we talk of experiment, that's why it comes across that way. If it was not safe for our predecessors, how can it be safe for us? How can you even think of bringing others here in the future? It doesn't make sense. The world should come out and say, thank you for shedding light on what is happening in Kakuma so that anybody else that would have been brought here is saved from going through this ordeal. Now, there are people out there, maybe some organizations, that have found it very profitable to talk about our situation. Those organizations out there should actually be looked for and dealt with appropriately. Victor, what you're doing is very noble work. If I had a vote for the Nobel Prize winner, I would actually nominate you. But I don't think I have a vote for that. Everybody here would nominate you. There are organizations that make a lot of profits by keeping us in an area like this. They will do whatever it takes. They will recruit people to cause confusion in Kakuma, just to keep us people here so that they can make very, very abnormal profits. The lives on which they're making these profits are here in Block 13. We have all manner of injuries, we have all manner of trauma. But shamelessly, they continue to make profit of our pain. We are very disappointed by the revelation that some people have made that their business. It's very, very disheartening. It's immoral. Very, very immoral. Somebody out there should bring people of that nature to account. They should be brought to the book. And we're also asking UNHCR for a dialogue. For God's sake, where are they? This man that came here surely did not make any much difference. And you realize that he failed even to talk to the people and walked away in anger. Who should be angry? Yeah. Him or us? Who is at the receiving end of the pain? Who is at the receiving end of the injuries? Who doesn't sleep at night? And he walks away in anger? We should have walked away in anger a long time ago if it wasn't for the lockdown. Down by the locals of the place, by fellow refugees, the people that should give us service are homophobic, they discriminate against us. We cannot sleep, we don't trust the water we drink. Do you have any idea how to live in that kind of life? You're scared of an attack at night. You're scared of drinking poison in the water. You cannot live as a human being. We have been stripped of our dignity. We have been stripped of our humanity.
I'm just reading here that while you're speaking right now, Gilbert,
Yes, please.
There was an attack on somebody.
Yes. There has just been an attack right now. Yes, it has been handled. But you know how attack. So I can't tell you we are safe. We have never been safe. Pushing away some 3, 4. The
situation has not.
No, it has not. You see, Victor, the problem is not us. The problem is the community that has rejected us. That rejected us long before we came here. That has not been changed. Nothing has been changed about it. It's still the same place, the same people. For God's sake, why would their attitude change? So we continue to be a target of those homophobes. They use the cover of darkness. At times they are bold enough to attack during the day. And UNHCR sends us somebody from Refugees Consortium of Kenya. And the gentleman comes and says, you're sleeping outside and you're not safe. And then walks away. We know we are not safe. And that's what we have been shouting from, I don't know, time immemorial. We know that, Victor. And that's what we are sharing with the world. Now, the challenge is on UNHCR to come out and carry out its mandate. Its mandate is to protect us. It doesn't have a lot of other work that deviates from that. All its work rotates around that. So why should it be so difficult for us to receive protection from an organization whose main core mandate is to offer protection and humanitarian assistance? We want to thank the Kenyan government, that one want to repeat it, for opening Nairobi, for opening the urban centers.
Yes, yes, yes.
UNHCR, what more will you tell the world? What more will you tell the world? Why can't you help us in Block 13? We will wait for you. We'll wait for your answer. We know you're watching. That's why you've been closing some Facebook accounts here. We know that, but that's not a solution. Talk to us. We know when you're serving people out there in your offices, in your comfort, you wear those coats that have refugees are real people. Really, are we real people to you? If we are real people to you, why won't you talk to us? Why won't you come out? We're tired of slogans passing around. We have people at the heart of everything we do. Since when? We have cried. The world has joined us in crying. The pain is enormous. And all you do is wear your coats. Refugees are real people. Very ironical. Sometimes we wonder, for how long must the experiment of putting lives in harm's way continue? Even experiments have an end. Then you document, this has failed. Failed the other year, failed the other year, and in 2020, it has failed again. Please admit that, and then do your job. We are not safe in Kakuma. Actually, it's no longer we are not safe. It is we are dying in Kakuma. Victor, that is our new slogan. We are dying in Kakuma. That we are not safe.
Thank you very much.
We are going to leave that to the people at the risk of corona. because even they will say they are not safe. But we are dying. We're dying here out in the open. That is the message we want to put across to UNHCR. We are dying.
And we shall amplify that message.
Yes.
We will amplify that message. It is your voice and we shall amplify it.
Absolutely. The business of we are not safe is no longer sufficient.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. I request you to stay around because we will be having more questions and we'll be needing some more word from you.
Thank you, Victor.
On behalf of in the camp. And if we can have the nurse come very close when I call you back, we'll be happy to talk to the nurse also.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Yes, you have heard. That's Gilbert, one of the activists on Block 13 in Kakuma Camp, where we have about 137 LGBTQ refugees and their allies. Because even those who may not necessarily be LGBT on Block 13, they are attacked also because of their association or because of being friends or because of staying with LGBTQ people. Now, you've heard from them themselves. They are dying while we were talking to them. Some of them were taking care of a safety issue, a security issue. Somebody, actually, I read here in the comments, a Sudanese refugee was chasing one of the LGBT refugees, but the good thing, they got to the block on time before they were attacked. The attacks are still ongoing. The cries to the UNHCR are still taking place. The UNHCR, to date, we don't know of any real intervention from them. We have heard that there was a man, an official from the Refugee Consortium of Kenya, but they were not clear whether they were there on behalf of the UNHCR or on behalf of the Refugee Consortium of Kenya. But they were there to confirm, oh yeah, you're sleeping outside, yeah, you're not safe. Nothing has been done. When this refugee is chasing the LGBT person in Kakuma camp, where is the police? Supposing they didn't get to Block 13 on time, we would be having another casualty on top of what we are having already. I thank you all who have reached out and have helped. We have had 62 refugees in hospitals since June, since 2 days after the attack. 62 have been treated. And I know they have sent me another list of a number of LGBT refugees that are going to the hospital tomorrow. We have people claiming that refugees actually have access to medical care in Clinic 7 in Kakuma camp. Yes, there is medical care, but there is homophobia in that space. This is the same space where they're being blamed for their being attacked, where medicals tell them, why are you homosexual? Why do you behave like a woman? And that is why some of these people who are helping the refugees are asking them to keep a low profile. That if you're transgender like me, put on a skirt so that you can be resettled. But I've asked the UNHCR that if there was an attack, if somebody hated tall people in the camp, and then there were regular attacks on tall people in the camp, would you, or you human rights organizations who are telling LGBT and transgender people to keep a low profile, would you tell those tall people to keep a low profile and pretend that they're short? Would you tell them probably to cut off their legs so that they become shorter, so that they are safe and stop provoking those who don't like tall people? What is hard to understand that this is our nature? What is hard to understand that there's hatred against our nature in the camp? And LGBT organizations out there, how do you remain silent when your own are under attack? How do you listen to a woman or a man who says that they have done these things to themselves and keep quiet? How do we do such a thing? And the UNHCR, it is your mandate. You have a mandate to protect. Any state where you have put a refugee camp, it means that you have a relationship with that state. It means that there are obligations for that state. Kenya has let murderers in. Some of them are in the refugee camps because they ran from their countries. Does Kenya like murderers? Kenya has let LGBT refugees in. Yet the laws in Kenya are against LGBT people. But because there's a special arrangement, Kenya has let them in for protection. The UNHCR, your mandate is to protect. Now, when you say we cannot take people out of the camp where they are not protected, where they are not safe, what is that protection? When you say because of COVID-19, thank God the Kenyan government has opened. It has opened transport. There's no more excuse. But even if COVID-19 was still real and the roads were still closed, if nobody has died of or bled of COVID-19 yet in the camp, in Kakuma camp, why is it difficult to save somebody who is already bleeding from attacks? I thought that they're there because of safety. And those who say that these people are pretending, I don't know how pathetic you can be. The people are leaving their countries because of homophobia. I can testify that I have been in a hospital in Uganda, Mulago Hospital, where I don't want to ever go back. And I have been judged in that hospital. Why am I gay? Why am I transgender? I think that a camp in Africa with various nationalities from Africa is safe for LGBT refugees who are running away from their one type of nationality because of homophobia. There is homophobia in Kakuma camp. There is homophobia in Clinic 7. There is homophobia among the policemen. We have reports about policemen trying to threaten LGBT refugees if they report their abuse from the police itself. The UNHCR has a documentation of testimonies that I sent it together with my fellow people who have been working with me on this emergency. They have a documentation, a full 41-page documentation. They have over 100 pictures that I sent them last week. And to date, they have not even acknowledged receipt, and yet we know they have received it. Because we are saying UNHCR, some few people, a handful, have told you these people are pretending. And a lot of us are telling you this is real. The refugees are saying this is real. Prove to us that the reports in the report that we have sent to you that are all over social media are wrong. Prove to us that the refugees are not telling the truth. Yes, the UNHCR, where are you in this? That you're protecting people, but they cannot leave the camp where they are being where they are facing problems. That they cannot run out because you have threatened that if they leave the camp, they cannot be resettled, meaning the only option is to go back to their homophobic countries. You have locked everywhere they could go. You won't give them a pass to go out safely to safety. Purity Page from Nairobi. I'm inviting you now to come and, share with us. There's somebody else who wants to come online. I'll be calling you also. Purity, please come online. Hey, my sister, Purity. Hi. Lovely one. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too.
I love you before you begin, but please continue with what you're doing with defending your own, even if yourself are a refugee and stuck somewhere in Nairobi. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so I have to say that I'm so proud of Gilbert.
Gilbert is great.
Yeah,
For
because
airing that.
ignorance and civic education is very important for UNHCR officials. Because I have a feeling that sometimes they feel like we are just naive and the word refugee has come to their heads, and I love them. But I would love to say that naivety isn't an answer to our issues. And the reason why I do not write so many messages to UNHCR or confront these other people that want to make people, LGBTQ refugees in Block 13 and all the LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma Camp be listened to by UNHCR is because people are not educated about us. I don't want to hate on anybody. I don't even have that time.
Speak your truth.
I am suffering from a concussion. It always takes time for somebody to heal. But let me tell you, education is very key. And then, if you think that LGBTQ refugees or refugees are just the label, refugees, like the way the world looks at black people, they look at you and they're like, that's a black person, and that's it. There is nothing like that's it. There is a lot to do with the fact that, yes, my color, my identity, my sexuality is in the inside. So when I tell you this is exactly what is happening, reach out, reach out, reach out. I know that UNHCR loves listening to so many voices because there are so many voices. And these other voices, I can talk about them, is we have to agree with what UNHCR wants to implement. Because for UNHCR, say UNHCR Nairobi, their implementation is helping all the refugees. LGBTQ refugees are not all refugees. You cannot be putting them in the same cycle. You can't. Why I say that? We are special refugees, and special in a fact that special means that we are the ones that are attacked. We are the ones that can get opportunities. We are the ones that suffer more. I don't have nothing to do with Kakuma camp. I'm in Nairobi. But I never want my family to go through the same things people in Kakuma are going through. That's my family. I just lost my father. So I would be keeping a low profile, people say. But look at Purity as a person and tell me, if I kept a low profile, what other kind of image would you have for Purity in a male kind of low profile that you want?
It's like telling a black person, keep a low profile.
Exactly.
Keep a low so that you survive racism.
Exactly. By the way, let me tell the world this. LGBTQ refugees are like black people in all those other countries, in Western countries. Why they look at us and they just label us, those are refugees, they have nothing to offer. You know, you just have to look at me from afar. You don't have to listen to me, but you need to listen to me though. My appearance doesn't represent the inside of Purity. My inside By the way, there is one thing I love about our creator. I don't want to mention any kind of religion and stuff because sometimes religion has been used against us. What you see from the outside isn't who I am. The inside of me is who I am actually. Don't look at my race, my gender, my identity. Now, I am so much proud of Gilbert from Kakuma Camp because people think that we are just dramatic. That's the word they use. These are dramatic people. They are diversional. They are not informed enough. So don't listen to them. Why? Because the word refugee ends up in their minds. Let me tell you one thing. I am so more professional and I could do a better job than somebody who is a caretaker for LGBT refugees in Kenya on behalf of UNHCR. I can do a great job.
I believe that. I believe that.
And I do not want the world to think that we keep quiet because we don't know these things. Sometimes you go for meetings and you're like, okay.
UNHCR is trying to show that refugees are so dumb that the UNHCR will not listen to refugees and what they are saying, but listen to somebody who has no idea what somebody's going through in Kakuma Camp. Refugees have spoken to them for themselves, and the UNHCR is not listening and just receiving reports of just listen to the refugees. UNHCR, they are saying something. Prove them wrong. If somebody is telling you they're pretending, prove them wrong. Come and confirm to us that in fact they cracked their own heads. Come and confirm to us that they brutally raped themselves.
Now,
How pathetic.
Thank you.
They are raped. They have been raptured.
Thank you very much, my brother. And thank you for reminding me that. So I would love to tell somebody at UNHCR that sometimes we sit back because we are refugees and keep quiet, but we can do a great job because we are not dumb people. Don't take us for dumb people. I have two degrees. And by the way, I'm so lucky that I'm among the few LGBTQ refugees that studied a course. I went to Makerere University. It is the biggest university in Uganda. I went to Makerere University. I can repeat it, Makerere University, to do my degree. Why? Because I qualified for it. Sometimes you use people that do not have any information. And because you have that kind of mind, you see my arm, my fingers, you put us in quotes, refugees. Why you?
Dumb.
Exactly. We are dumb.
Useless.
We are only dramatic. We are this. No. I'm 30 years old. I'm turning 31 in a few minutes. Probably more. Because, you know, that's the age for girls. But I'm a mature person. Do not take us for those dumb people. We go for those meetings. Why? Because we have to be in those meetings because we are vulnerable. And I want to tell somebody at UNHCR responsible for LGBTQ refugees to understand that one time you cannot predict the future. You could be in our situation because by the time I left Uganda, I was eligible to work with UN. Not
every human being on earth is capable of becoming a refugee.
Thank you. So I am one of those people that you should look out for And there are some in Kakuma camp. I mean, Gilbert just gave us the exact kind of concept and what you should feel about refugees. I was one of those people that were qualified to work with UN. I'm not like an LGBTQ representative, but a UN official. UN, not UNHCR. I can repeat it. United Nations, not United Nations High Commission for Refugees. But fate decided that I should actually be a refugee. Why? Nobody ever predicts when they can become a refugee. What Gilbert has just told us, and what you're telling us, Victor, and I'm proud of you, is that LGBTQ refugees in Block 13 are being attacked. And I don't mind about anybody else.
They are dying.
They are dying. I call it a genocide. Inside your offices, I don't think there is a day you have ever been attacked and you lose your ear, you get an injury on your head. Sorry about that. Somebody called me. You're educated enough to understand that you have to protect people. I don't stay in the Kakuma camp. I don't. I'm in Nairobi. But I no longer have a family. I lost my father just a few days ago. I had already lost my mother. And then manipulators, scams, blackmails, and all that use that as an opportunity to make me feel like I shouldn't have a voice and make me silent. I left my family. It is my family that I left, biological family that I left. So whoever thinks about that should understand I left my family so that I can look out for Purity. Purity will be a rich girl. Purity will be a very successful person if I chose what the world thought about me. But I chose Purity.
Purity, who you have chosen. And I'm so proud of you for choosing Purity because I know your story. As big bro, I know your story. I'm very proud of you. That's why I always stand. And I know also what Purity, this Purity, is doing for the sake of others. Sometimes getting Purity when it comes to LGBT refugees, Purity will forget about her own stomach, her own everything, her own health for LGBT refugees, which we need to change a little bit. But while you have the mic right now, I would like you to send another message because you've sent several messages to UNHCR. I would like you to send another message to the UNHCR about what we want, why we have this campaign that they are not recognizing.
Thank you very much. Now, I know everybody, some people from UNHCR have contacted me, and that isn't my issue. But I would love to tell UNHCR, more so UNHCR Nairobi, that we are not enemies. You taught us what dialogue means. In fact, when I was working on a project to remove LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma camp last year.
Why were you removing them, first of all, from Kakuma camp?
The same exact things that are happening in Kakuma, people shedding blood, innocent blood.
Did you have the blessing of the UNHCR? Did the UNHCR see the need to remove them from Kakuma camp last year, the other year?
No, at first they didn't, because we started in 2018.
But then they saw it afterwards and acted.
So afterwards they acted. They sent planes, aeroplanes, flights in Kakuma camp. By the way, some refugees who have never been on a flight, They're even taking images. You know, we are in a plane and stuff. They sent, you know, they rescued everybody from there because they.
UNHCR rescued people from Kakuma camp a year ago or last year, or whenever they removed them, because of homophobia. And the UNHCR took people back to Kakuma camp and currently not acting when we ask that they get them out of the camp.
Exactly.
Please speak to UNHCR with the same language that you spoke to them when they removed people via planes that time.
Thank you very much.
Before we go on somebody else, please make that plea.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm talking to UNHCR officials in Nairobi. We talked, we know that we talked, right? And you had to act and remove people from Kakuma camp in December 2018 to January 2019. What made you feel like LGBTQ refugees are so safe in Kakuma camp and you have to send them back is what I don't understand. You rather not accept them. Don't accept them. What they are going through right now is worse than what they ran away from. Don't accept them. So what exactly made you feel like what you did in 2018/2019 is a good method for you to send them back there? You wouldn't have accepted them as refugees. You wouldn't have accepted them. They should have gone back to the
UNHCR by now knows that LGBT people, LGBT refugees are not looking for special rights.
No.
They are looking for protection. By now, the UNHCR knows that LGBT people can be a target even among marginalized people.
Exactly. Now, that's the truth. When you send a transgender person, I'm talking to UNHCR in Nairobi and in Kenya and other officials. When you send back a transgender person in Kakuma camp, you send them from the same community. You rescued them last year. You sent back LGBTQ refugees in the same community. You rescued them last year. There is nothing that you did to protect them. And right now, what you do is to listen to those other voices of people who only have selfish intentions to keep LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma camp. I'm a transgender. My name is Purity. My birth name that was given as I was born from a transphobic and homophobic community by my parents is Kenneth. You look at me as Kenneth. I look at me as Purity. You need a refresher course about transgenders. We transition. And for us, when we are transitioning, it doesn't matter at the time we do that. What matters is us getting tired of living for somebody else. Don't take us back to the community that you never educated, given.
Yes, they've been attacked since 2016, a little in 2015, and up to now, the refugee community in Kakuma does not have workshops about this diversity, about sexual orientation, about gender identity. And you want to keep taking people back to the same camp where you have not empowered people, opened the eyes of people, where you have not even made this proper education when it comes to service providers. Who you take a bleeding wound and they tell you about your sexual orientation.
Thank you very much. Now, thank you very much for educating us and UNHCR. Now, you've heard it from Victor Mukasa is actually among the first people that started our movement. I come from Uganda, and He started the same movement. People did not know who we are. The reason why our president Museveni, because I was born in his era, still doesn't understand who we are. It's because of those kind of people, like Victor Mukasa. And they became adamant. Now, UNHCR, you are a humanitarian agency responsible for refugees. If you do not feel comfortable working on LGBTQ refugees, please tell us not to come to Kenya.
Don't allow them to be in your system.
Exactly. Don't put us in your system.
Because they are seeking protection.
Exactly. So
from homophobia and transphobia.
Yeah. So instead of you listening to these other organizations who only have a mandate and their organizations are only focused on LGBTQ refugees, and that's why they get their salary, and so they feed you information and you only listen to them. You only listen to them because they are creative. And I said they are creative, I will say it again. They are creative. They will give you information. They will use fellow refugees to be against us because refugees are vulnerable. Anything you feed them is what they see.
They will present their degrees about how they are well read about refugee issues, meaning that the refugees know less.
Exactly.
The ones who daily lived reality.
Yeah, thank you very much. And
a paper better than the refugee themselves.
Yeah, so these organizations go to UNHCR and tell them that, you know what, that one is a dramatic refugee, those are dramatic refugees. You have not been here, you have not been to Kakuma camp. I want to tell those organizations that say that, you know, these dramatic refugees are making it hard for other LGBTQ persecuted persons to come and seek asylum in Kenya. Why? Because they want us to stay there, because when they see bloodshed, deep in their minds and deep in their souls, that's their win, because they use somebody's picture of blood oozing out of their bodies to make a presentation or to make a project or to make a grant proposal to an organization and say, these are suffering people. Why? Because they know that refugees are nothing, so they do not even have any rights, so we can use them to manipulate the entire situation. Why? Because that's what they depend on for a living.
I am sure that the UNHCR is hearing you. You've spoken to them on several occasions. You're one of the people I know has been very respectful in talking to the UNHCR, and they refuse not to listen to you because they like people who, you know, speak in certain ways. And I thank you so much for the voice you put out there on behalf of all the refugees. I request you and urge you and encourage you to never give up.
Thank you.
It's for the truth that you stand. We know that a lot of you have received threats for speaking out. Some of you have received threats from some UNHCR officials in some offices. We know about that. You have received threats from those who have got the favor of the UNHCR.
Yeah.
But I request you to stand for the truth, and it is good to stand for the truth and be ready to stand for it, even if it means you're standing alone. Some of us have.
Yeah.
We've been hated for standing for the truth. We've been alienated for standing for the truth, but it puts you on the right side of history. And whoever does not, whoever hides the truth, refuses to listen to the truth, is on the wrong side of history. And we shall never forget June 19th in the history of LGBTQ human rights in Africa. We shall never forget this silence from the UNHCR in the history of the LGBTQ human rights struggles of Africa. We shall never forget the silence of LGBT human rights organizations in the history of the LGBT human rights struggles of Africa. We shall never forget the silence of the world.
Thank you very much. And
with what happened on June 19th. And I encourage you to keep talking to them. I encourage you to speak out, encourage your fellow refugees in this situation. Purity will still be there for you. I'll be bringing on somebody else in a very short while. Please give us your last word, and then please keep following.
thank you very much, Victor. And by the way, we're proud of you. And the world should always know that you are the pioneer activist, LGBTQ activist from Uganda that started our movement. I wouldn't be here if people like you weren't there. And you're many.
But that is history that even some people don't want to listen to. I'm aware. I'm just still proud of you because you're in it right now. You're in that heat where I was right now. So I want you to say your last word to the people listening to us and to the UNHCR and to your fellow refugees, both in Nairobi and Kakuma.
Thank you very much. Now, for my fellow LGBTQ refugees, understand that UNHCR has always given us one element called dialogue. They haven't had a dialogue with us. I know they are fixing it. They need to fix it now. For them listening to somebody else isn't helping. They need to go on the ground, get their facts right, than listening to hearsays. And hearsays, I mean, there's so many organizations that want to be in the same situation like UNHCR, because they all know.
What should LGBT refugees do?
So for LGBTQ refugees, mostly in Kakuma camp, and even those in Nairobi, but I am focusing on now LGBT refugees in Kakuma camp, because even the ones in Nairobi are suffering, is that there is hope. We only have a voice. Our voices are the only weapons we have. Our voices. Our voices?
Yes.
They are stronger than those reports. They are stronger than all those reports formed against us to die and to see a genocide happening in Kakuma. Don't mind about those voices. Listen to you. By listening to you is that you know the bloodshed you are shedding. Somebody who says the bloodshed you are shedding is fake, isn't you, has never been in your situation. You are the only person who knows what you go through. They don't.
That, I'm sure in Kakuma and Block 13 in particular have heard you. What is your message to LGBT human rights defenders, organizations, human rights organizations in general, and international human rights organizations?
Thank you very much. Now, I call upon LGBTQ A++ human rights organizations and donors to understand that you need to listen to LGBTQ refugees in Kenya and in Kakuma camp, even Nairobi somehow, but more in Kakuma camp. Why? Listening to another organization is like out-competing yourself, because they also want to be like you, or they want to take over from UNHCR. So they use a few LGBTQ refugees or refugees to just attack us, create fake accounts, reach out to people, and sort everything we say sounds different. I did monitoring and evaluation when I was doing my master's degree. By the way, we are educated. And what I know is that listening to the voices of vulnerable people is by going to the ground and getting to know exactly what is happening, situation analysis. So when you say that they are not reaching out, they are not real, they are thinking up everything, have you done situation, have you been on the ground? I haven't heard anybody from UNHCR that has gone on the ground and say these are fake accounts. I only see reports. I saw a message. I want them to go on the ground, do situation analysis, and don't only listen to people who are giving creative reports, because that's what they do for a living. For us refugees, we do not have enough time to
They
come
don't,
to your
if they don't,
inboxes and tell you to do your job. Why I do not go to your inboxes and say that we are being attacked? I want you to go on the ground so that you can see whether Purity is lying, whether she's right. Why haven't you done situation analysis than listening to voices who are manipulating refugees? I don't stay in Kakuma camp. I don't even see the reason why I should be talking about Kakuma camp people. These are my people. I am a refugee too, and I'm a transgender. I have my friends. I don't have a family anymore. I only have family in my own community. So when I speak about it, I'm speaking about it from experience. These are my own family. I do not have a family. But for you to sit in office and then you think about a creative message because you've heard from just one person or just one organization, and then you don't even go on the ground to see exactly what is happening, it hurts me. I am not in Kakuma. I do not benefit nothing. And I can say it loudly. I have always said it. Nobody should send me any kind of financial support meant for Kakuma people. So that people know that I actually do not have any interest there. But that's my family. I cry every night. I get nightmares. I do not sleep. Everybody knows I'm always awake because I have my issues and I have to think about somebody who's going to be attacked in Kakuma, and that is my best friend because I'm a refugee too. And these are my people. We are a family. So there is no way I can have a good night's sleep seeing them suffer. And I don't mind about blackmail, by the way. I don't mind about anything. I do not mind. I have already lost so much. And by the way, let me tell you people, that truth one day will set us free. Probably I would be dead. Probably I would not be in Kenya. Probably I would be dead. But let me tell you, for us refugees, more so LGBT refugees, I can now speak on behalf of even transgenders. We have a family. LGBTQ refugees are our family, and I'm a part of it. There is no other family that I know anymore. I just lost my father. Everybody was bashing me. My father's burial was actually a sin for me. So the only family I have are the people in Kakuma. So don't silence me when I know exactly what I'm talking about.
And Purity, I am sure that LGBT people, human rights defenders, and activists have heard you. They don't have to hear this in order to act, but at least you have said it. And I thank you so much, Purity, for what you do. Purity, I am so proud of you. I know you because we are working day and night together for our friends, brothers, and family in Kakuma Camp. I really applaud you for what you do and for your selflessness. Please stay online. We might have questions to ask, but thank you so much for what you are doing because I know that it's affecting you in so many ways without anybody even noticing. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
That is where we are at, guys. And after hearing those two people from Kakuma and from Nairobi, I think it is time for you, today before you go to your bed, to write a letter to the UNHCR, amplifying the voice of the refugees in Kakuma, especially on Block 13. They are saying they are no longer under attack. Right now, they are dying. While we spoke to them earlier on with Gilbert, somebody was under attack in that very camp, an LGBT person. Some of them were there dealing with the situation while Gilbert and others spoke to us. LGBT human rights organizations there. When will you raise your outrage for your own? Why do we have to beg for you to speak up? Why do we have to beg for you to use your letterheads? Think about it. The refugees are ready to be investigated, yet nobody will go to investigate them. The refugees are ready to face the UNHCR and talk about it, yet the UNHCR will not go to them. The UNHCR at the moment is listening to one report only. And that report comes from elsewhere. That report says that these refugees are pretending. That report says that these refugees are forcing it upon themselves. That these refugees actually are refusing to keep a low profile. That's why they're under attack. At the same time, they're doing it to themselves. At the same time, they're under attack because they're not keeping a low profile. At the same time, they're exaggerating. This is what this report says. And it is time for us to stand for our own. But we don't have to be children to defend children's rights. We don't have to be women to defend women's rights. I think this call goes to every human being that calls themselves a human rights defender. Gay, straight, bent, crooked, normal, not normal, abnormal, to stand up for humanity on Block 13 in Kakuma Camp. For all those LGBTQ refugees, their children who are in the camp with them, and their friends who are in the camp with them on Block 13. The UNHCR has not given us any known response. We have seen press releases. We have seen, I have personally been, somebody has implied that I'm sending money to Kakuma to actually get people to walk out of the camp, which is not true. If anybody is asking that question, it is not true. I have sent money from my friends to Kakuma camp, and so far we have had 62 of our refugee friends on Block 13 in hospital. And tomorrow we are having more, meaning tomorrow we are shooting 70 plus. We have had some special food for those living with HIV and AIDS on Block 13 in Kakuma camp with that money. We have had them buy firewood with your money. The money for those people, not your money, because there are very few people who are giving actually. We have had food for the refugees in general on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. The money that we have sent has not taken refugees out of that camp. They are still there. They are still ailing with wounds, broken limbs, and cracked skulls. And they are still waiting on the UNHCR, who they are calling their father and mother, but is silent. They are still looking out for each other. They are still sleeping outside. I do not even have enough money of the resources that I'm raising to buy them blankets, to replace what they were stolen, what was stolen from them by their attackers. The only thing we've been able to replace is food. We need all LGBTQ refugees and their allies on Block 13, all residents on Block 13, to be evacuated from Kakuma camp. Even those who may not necessarily be LGBTQ but live in Block 13 are under attack because of their association with LGBTQ refugees. Even the children who have no sexual orientation, their fellow children in the camp have been stopped from playing with them. These are children who don't even know that their parents are queer. Their other refugees have stopped their children to play with the children from Block 13. We need to style up. We just need to style up. We had a counselor trying to speak to us earlier on, and I really I really thank those counselors who are helping with counseling people in Kakuma every morning. I thank you so much for what you're doing. Mila in Canada, thank you so much. Phil in Uganda, thank you so much. And all the others whose names I won't mention because I'm not sure that they are up to that. But just know that we thank you for what you're doing. We see what you're doing. And our friends, LGBTQ refugees on Block 13, see what you're doing. I ask you all who are here to spread the word about the GoFundMe page that we started. It is found on my page, this very page where this live show is broadcasting from. I am raising money on behalf of LGBTQ refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. They have asked me to. I've been raising it through different channels, but I decided to put it on the GoFundMe because my friends cannot sustain it. And I ask you to put whatever you have, all your pocket change. I ask you to put it on that page because it goes a long way to support the people on Block 13 in Kakuma camp. Again, LGBT human rights organizations and friends, we ask you to stand up and speak. These refugees in Kakuma camp are accessible. You see, they're even here on this live. They are talking to you. Nobody can say that because we have coronavirus, now we cannot reach people anymore. No. Business is going on in the world online. It means that human rights organizations are going to change the way that you work, that investigations are going to start happening online. We cannot stop saving lives because coronavirus is existent. Tomorrow there might be another virus. Now, these refugees are accessible. They speak to you here on my live shows. They are commenting. How can you say that you have had only one part of the story from whoever has the resources to speak to you, when you can just start a chat in a chat box with any of the refugees on this chat? Just pick them out. There's Bashir. I see Bashir. I see Trinidad Jerry. I see Anne Marie. Purity Page is there. Wava Benon is there. Isa Mubiru is there in Kenya. All these are refugees. Talk to them. They have a story. You can document it and prove to the UNHCR that these people are under attack, that they are dying. Gilbert is accessible. I have their IDs. I have their phone numbers. Reach them. You have been lied to that they're even walking out of the camp, but they're still in the camp. They are still on Block 13. So do not be deceived and be fair. Listen to both sides. They are ready to be investigated, these refugees. And Phil, please send your request so that you give us the last word from you as a counselor and one of the counselors that is working with us. Phil, please send your request again. Send your request again, Phil. It will be great for our friends in Kakuma to see and hear you. And also it will be great for us to hear from you as one of our counselors that are continuing to do the work, COVID or no COVID. You are there for people in Kakuma camp. And also I'm making out this call, if there are any counselors, anybody who can offer free counseling, we are overwhelmed. We are overwhelmed. We need more counselors. If any of you out there is willing to help out, please show up. Thank you, Helen Thompson. Thompson, I think, was referred by Sharon Cox, maybe. Thank you for joining the team, and thank you for the therapy and counseling that you're giving to our people. Phil, if you're there, let's have you to close this. Otherwise, I'm closing the live show. I'm requesting you all to sign the press the petition that Triangle Project or Sharon Cox started. You've done well, those who have signed it. And also, we request you to continue writing these letters to the UNHCR. They will hear us, and one day they will respect us and will respond to us. One day they will see us as valuable voices and they will respond to us. For now, they don't see us. For now, they don't want to listen to us, even if they have heard us. They're not listening to us. But one day they'll see a reason to do so. We just need to keep pressing. We just need to keep pressing. So sign the petitions online and write letters to the UNHCR in your country, wherever you are, or the UNHCR in Kenya or in Geneva. The contacts are online, and on my Facebook page, you will see the contacts. If you go to the Victor Mukasa Show Facebook page, you'll see the contacts. If you go to Victor J. Mukasa official page, my official page, you will see the contacts. If you see all these people online, mostly the refugees, if you go to their pages, you will see the petitions and the calls to action. So I am going off. Grace, it's not working out. It is not working out. You'd have to restart your phone and send your request again, or restart Facebook and send your request again. If there's anybody who has something short, brief to say, because I need to go and continue pushing for some advocacy and fundraising for our friends. And also, I have some work to do with leadership in Kakuma. If there's nobody coming, I would like to say thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Brian Nkoyoyo, Bryans, for the music that we are using that is not copyrighted and is not being taken away from us and is not bringing our live shows down. The people in Kakuma Camp, Block 13, strength to you. All LGBT refugees in Nairobi and urban areas, strength to you. We got you. One day we shall be listened to. We shall be heard. Human rights organizations, we still need you. UNHCR, we believe that the solution to this is to take people out of Kakuma Camp immediately. Their lives are dying away slowly. The attacks are ongoing, and yet we have not heard from you. And we need you. And Phil is one of the counselors. Somehow the connection has come through a different account. And Phil, if you could come on very quickly and say something, and then we shall go. Thank you, Phil, for joining us. Thank you. I'll keep quiet and you speak, because if I keep talking, there'll be some problems. Phil, we hear you. Please go on. All right, Phil has disconnected. It's not very good, but she's one. They are. I'm not sure what the pronoun is at the moment, but they are one of the counselors that we are having in Kakuma Camp every morning for our friends. And my friends in Kakuma Camp, Block 13, you will help me to thank Phil and Tim and Mali and Mila and Matthew, like the people who are reaching out to you. And I will go off by leaving this song, a dedication to all refugees in Kakuma Camp, a dedication to all refugees in Kenya generally, and a dedication to refugees across the world that are LGBTQ identified. We are like a stock of society. Everyone is spinning on us. Little do they know we are a family. And nothing can stop us right now, yeah. Dear brothers and sisters, discrimination should stop. Let's come together and find this insanity, cause in the end, we will win. There is hope, there is hope. Don't despair, because there is hope. We shall overcome, we shall overcome. This phobia they have towards us. If we come together and fight for our rights, we shall overcome. Cause there is hope. This is for you all in Kakuma Camp, Block 13. This is your song from Brian Nkoyoyo. And I love you all, and so many people love you. Block 13 Kakuma Camp. And this is love to you. It is love to you, Block 13 in Kakuma Camp. There is hope, there is hope. Don't despair, because there is hope. We shall overcome, we shall overcome. If we come together and fight for our rights, we shall overcome. Cause there is hope. Thank you, Brian Koyoyo. Brian.
Let me be me, that's who I am. I stand strong, the gun is too long. I keep moving cause I got hope.
There is hope, there is hope. Don't despair, because there is hope. We shall overcome. If we come together, there is hope. There is hope. Mugume, 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 mikwano, mugume, 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 mikwano, mugume, 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 mugume. Hey, mugume, 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 Block 13. Mugume, 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 mugume. All right, I sign out. Peace out. Thank you very much.